Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brendan with Evoke Bike. We're going to jump right into this conversation with Jens. And quick favor, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you would take 8 to 23 seconds out of your day and leave us a 5-star review if you think we've earned it, we would greatly appreciate it. It not only shows us love, which that's great, but really it helps to validate us as a worthy podcast for other people to listen to when they're searching for a cycling podcast. I think a lot of people have commented how awesome these athletes are for sharing their time. We want more athletes to learn about this stuff. Please share with a friend also. The social shares really matter. They really help us. And honestly, the more people that hear about this, the bigger the guests get, the better the interviews get. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely hit me up, brendan@evoke.bike. And really great first episode. There's going to be 2 parts with Jens. Everything from the Baby Giro to doing 30-30s to motor pacing. And really listen to what he has to say about sweet spot training. What part of his rider profile got faster and then what did not get faster. You know, and someone made a comment that I don't like sweet spot training. Low threshold riding or high tempo has a strong spot in training, but it should not be an entire training program. I do not believe that there should be a sweet spot training plan. You need to progress onto something harder and listen to what happens to Jens. Sweet spot is not your answer for bike racing. I'll leave it at that. Overprescribed. Anyways, let's get into this one with Jens. Also, if you want to check out the strength podcast that we put out, part 2 will be coming out this week. And then we'll also be dropping part 2 with Jens. Hope you guys have a great week training, racing. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you check out the podcast. There's an episode almost every day. They are short to quickly make you faster. Talk to you guys later. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. And you?
Pretty good. Excited to chat. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing some of your experience.
Yeah. It was for me. Tomorrow I start training around 9. It was just an easy ride because the next days I have test days. I have also a new trainer since a couple weeks, and no, I need to do some tests to see where is my level at the moment.
What kind of tests are you going to do?
I need to do for the first time like inside testing. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
Like a 20-second test, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, and 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's also the first time that I do some tests like this. It's also the first weeks that I work with the inside protocol.
Okay. Yeah, I did their tests a few, maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years. My time range with COVID is all screwed up. So it was before COVID. So maybe it was like 18 months ago or so. Well, I have some questions for you about that. Before we jump into the training full steam ahead, the first question that I always ask, which I always thought would be the easiest, but turns out to be the hardest. So everybody knows, who is Jens Reynders? Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, it's true. That's my name.
Yeah.
This is my first year with Tos for Vlaanderen. Last season I was riding for Hagens, Berman, Axeon, the team from Axeon, also the American team.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years before I was rider for Wallonie Bruxelles. And the years before, when I was U23, I was rider for Leopard Pro Cycling Team, and there I started also my my U23 career. And I think 2 years ago I had a really good season. I take 1 pro victory, and I was third in Paris-Roubaix and also third in Gent-Wevelgem with the U23 riders. I think that was one of my best seasons with the U23. And then last season I go to Hagens, Berman, Axeon to try to win a classic race. And there comes COVID, and COVID-19 broke the whole season for me. The first part I was trying to try to win a classic race with the U23 before I leave to the bigger teams. Then with the COVID, every race in Belgium, also in the world, was cancelled, and also every classic race with U23 was cancelled. And for me, that was mentality. It was a really hard part because I say to a lot of teams, no, I will try to stay 1 year or the first part of the season. I will stay U23 to try to win a victory in the classic, because it's nice to say you can win a classic with the pros, but I think it's much harder than with U23, and I think the good opportunity to try there, because I was already 2 times on the podium, and if I not crash in the Tour of Flanders, maybe I was also there on the podium, but I crashed at 300 meters before on the finish line with Thomas Pidcock, and that was also, I think, it was a good opportunity there for the sprint with a small group to go for the victory. But that cycling and a crash, sometimes it's happen and sometimes you're lucky, but that time I was not lucky. I was not lucky.
You'll have your day. So how old are you right now then?
No, this year I'm at this moment 22.
Okay.
But in 20 days I will be 23.
Okay. Because I was looking on like online, so I was like, oh, he's still 22. He's still U23, but not for long.
Yeah, no. From the end of May, I'm not at U23 anymore. But it's not a problem because I'm already pro now. But it's for me. It was a hard way the last year, and then I was thinking maybe from August I will do a really good end of the year. Also for Hagens Berman Axeon, I want to show me in the team, because I saw them 1 time, and that was on the training camp in the beginning of the year in Hillsburg in America, California.
Okay.
And I was trying to do my best, and I started then in Tour de Wallonie, where I took 2 days the young jersey, and then I go to Giro, the Baby Giro, but after the third stage, I crashed really hard. I crashed 2 times there in the second stage, I think, and then again in the third or fourth stage, and I need to stop because I was like everywhere I was open. It was it was not possible to start the next days, and later on I have also an infection on some injuries there.
Okay.
And then that was like, fuck, I cannot do the rest of the season. It's already over. But I was working and trying to come back so fast as possible. And I think one of the chances for me was like Belgian Championships. That time I need to do it with the pros, but my affection was so hard that it was not possible to start there. And I was thinking, I want to race 1 time again for Hagens Berman Axeon, and then it was Paris Tour, where I had a good level, but I feel I had not the level to go for the win, because it was just again my first race after the injury, and I trained 3-4 weeks. I think I cannot train. And you feel then when you come from the Baby Giro, you have a good level, you crash, and then 3-4 weeks nothing, and then 2 weeks training, and then start the Paris Tours. You need to be. It's not possible to start there with the best feeling, I think.
So what's your mindset towards that? Because that is really a hard time when somebody has an injury or they have to sit on the sidelines for a little bit, and then you're trying to get ramped back up and trying to catch up to everybody almost on the fitness level. Were you just going in to Perry Tours like, hey, I'm just going to get some fitness? You know you're not at your best, but your ego, your brain is like, I want to be where I know I can be at. How did you approach that mentally?
Yeah, it was hard because then you think I go to one of the races where I can try to win, and I think at that moment I say mentally, normally I have a pro level, thus I don't need to be 100% to have my best shapes with the U23 to win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not like U23 level is like it's like shit. It's a good level, and also there was a big of good teams, and then you see I had maybe 10 or 15% less from my top form.
Mm-hmm.
This it was not possible to say I go for the win, but you try for the motivation for your head. You say yes, I'm ready, but then when the battle starts, you feel in the beginning, you feel yeah, the feeling is good. I was also good, and in the start of the race after 20K, we crashed also. I was also in the crash. I broke my frame there also, but I came back, and then I say no, I want to show me, and then I push, but you feel you have not the power that you have before, and then you need to do. You cannot show you like you cannot say on the climb I go full. No, you need to think, oh, after this climb there will become other climbs, and there I need to be followed the best riders, and if I go here to the maximum, maybe on the other climbs I will be dropped, and then you need to be calculate and a little bit listen to your body, and I do my best there. But yeah, on the end you feel maybe if I had a better feeling, I can say on the one of the last climbs I try to do to push and see what happened, but on this time I need to follow, and then in the sprint, yeah, you feel you lose so much energy in the race. Like when you have a top form, everything is better. The positioning, you can go like positioning starting on the climb at the top 5, but then if you have not the best feeling, you need to try to follow and to stay in the front, to be yeah, and hopefully you survive the climb, and there you see if you not train you cannot I don't know how to say it.
Be the hammer.
Yeah. It's like yeah, you need to work for it's not cycling is a really hard part, and it's not only training, also mentality. It's really hard, and everything need to be good. And also you need to be lucky, and last year it was not my best year about that, but it's happened, it's over, and now I need to focus on the next years, and trying to win races with the pro riders, and that's maybe the next step in my career.
What do you think are some of the big races that you'll be targeting that you have hopes of getting big results at?
Yeah, I think not at this time, but maybe in the next years. I think races like just like the classic races, also the 1.1 races in Belgium. A lot of races. It's good for me, and I think for sure Paris-Roubaix with the pros and Gent-Wevelgem will be race for me in the future, and no, I'm working for that. I'm trying to find the good shape, because my first part of the season at this moment was for me shit. It was not good, I was working with another trainer, and I make some faults there because on altitude, I do the first time sleeping in an altitude tent, and I think I train a little bit too hard and too long there when I was inside the tent, and I sleep really really high there, and my body was like, when I wake up, it was like, ah shit, I need to train now for 5 hours, and my body was, I was sleeping 8 hours in the night, but it feel that I sleep 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And like when I come out the tent, I was sleeping at 3,500 meters every day. And when I came out the tent, I go directly with my team on trainings camp. And there, the first days, the feeling was okay, but then afterwards, I was feeling like, it's not the ends where I was hoping for. I think I make there some mistakes to sleep maybe too high, to train too hard, and then when I was coming out my altitude tent, I go directly on training camp with the team, and I think it was better that I, after the altitude tent, I stay a little bit easy, let my shape coming, and then go on training camp with the team. And I think that broke my whole first part of the season. Like I was doing then Marseillage, I was in the break, and when I was in a break, it was no problem to push long high watts, but my problem was more like when there was a climb, it was or a cobblestone section or something. It was in the first part, like after 5K, 10K, 100K. Don't worry. It was like I started there, and then I was feeling, shit. I have not. I cannot push. Not push that power, and maybe that was because I trained maybe too slow in the first part of my building up, and then on the altitude tent I train also hard, really long blocks or intervals, and then I feel I can push around 350, 400 watts. I can train for a long time in that with that power, but like pushing for 5 minutes more than 500 watts and power that I put normally the last years, that was not possible. Also not in the start of the race of training or in the end, but riding on around my FTP, just under my FTP, it was no problem to ride 3-4 hours. And but the hard interval sections or the short parts, the feeling was like I can go faster, but my body say no. And and then I was
like
looking.
VO2 max efforts and like the short punchy climbs were just brutal.
Yeah. My VO2 max was like, it feels like my FTP and VO2 max was the same. When I go 10-20 watts over my FTP and I rode there 3 minutes, then I was completely empty and my legs was like explosion.
Wow.
And
what types of intervals, or what do you think was the big bulk of the training before that? I'm curious because I had a similar issue a few years ago, and I think I know what my problem was, but I'd be curious, what were you doing for the rides? Or do you think it was just too much volume in the altitude tent somehow?
yeah, I think it's the mix because I sleep in altitude tent and I train a lot on the fat zone, just like a sweet spot. And just under my sweet spot, I train a lot in that power. And when I was training a lot there, it was okay. It was like it's normal. It's for me. It was like I can do an endurance around my sweet spot the whole day long. But when I need to push, to my VO2 max or higher watts, then it was not problem. Then it was not possible.
Yeah.
And
This is
I
crazy.
think,
Sorry, go ahead. This is crazy to hear.
yeah, it was like I was. My feeling was I was like a triathlete. Uh, I think that sometimes if I do know something like that, I will be in the front maybe. But you see also my sweet spot, and just under my sweet spot, the zones was like really high, much higher than last year.
Yes.
But the other like my VO2 max and all the things like that was much lower. And you
Dude.
saw also on my tests, like my 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, where normally my best watts, where I can, yeah, it was like I was before like more like a pro rider and that watts, but and this moment it was like, oh, how is it possible? But how longer the minutes, like when I test 60 minutes, or I was looking to my 90 minutes, or what can I push on 3 hours, that was much higher than the years before. But the other watts was like, whoa.
Dude, I had the same experience. So gravel racing started blowing up in the US, and everyone, like, there had been people that were doing it, but some of the big races were, everyone wasn't really sure how these races were going to shake out now that there were going to be so many more like good riders at them. And so a lot of the thing was, hey, you're going to have to do a ton of like sweet spot, low threshold. So I was cranking out these like 2-3 hour rides at like really high wattage for me. And like you said, the lower levels, my endurance, I was riding like 20 watts higher. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm flying. I went to go do VO2 max efforts and was just like, if I went to a normal road race instead of like a 7-hour gravel race, I was getting shelled. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I thought I was feeling so strong. And it's the sweet spot, man. It is so many people in the US overuse it. They ride it way too much. They do the same damn thing over and over again. And then they go and they feel fast. Cause like you're saying, like, you're like, man, I'm flying for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then they go to a road race and it gets really hard for 4 minutes. See you later. And they're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And I think it's really that turning the dials. You were talking about inside using VLA max and how some cyclists need to reduce their VLA max. And it's not always, we can't always just say more of everything is better, because we can't just add everything. And
Yeah.
like you added on a lot of like super long duration power, but that might not help you stay in the race when you're racing with the big boys. And that's so, that season, that first spring, I was just like, man, I screwed something up. And I think Sweet Spot really has gotten its marketing. It's not great for everybody, especially I think like a cyclist at your level. I think people are more seeing that like it can do more harm when it's overdone. So at least you're figuring this out at 22, and you've got to, it's not like when you're in your prime and waste a whole season away. So so let's talk about the training for a second, because it seems like you really do think a lot about this, which is good. A really open-ended question: when you've felt the fastest and you felt like you've been at your best, and maybe before like the Paris-Roubaix where you were in third, what's the most important aspect of your training?
Like the weeks before, and I like to do trainings like around my VO2 max some days before. So like 30 seconds, some
Okay.
intervals like pyramid intervals and stuff like that.
Like 30 on, 15 off, like those types?
Yeah, like 30-second VO2 max, 30-second easy, stuff like that. Then I feel I can go suffering, not too hard, but I suffer. And then in the race, I think it will be help me when I'm like maybe on the Quaremont, I need to push, and then I can push a little bit more because I do intervals like that. And I think that's one of the things that help me when I train. Uh, like then that bring me to the maximum, and that things help me also in the race. And I think sometimes to do scooter training with most of the time my father helped me with that, and like that's also good training to train your speed. And a lot of pupils, I think, they think I need to ride like 1 or 2 hours around 40-45 kilometer per hour, and training alone like that, and not with a scooter. And then if I do that, maybe I'm damn fast in the race, but I think it's not true, because then maybe you train like me, what I trained this year in the first part, and then you feel that on training you feel you're really good, because on the lower watts. But when you go then over your FTP, you go to the VO2 max and the maximum zones, then you see, I'm not so good. And
You're not so Superman as you might have thought.
yeah, for sure. And when you ride around 2 hours, around 40 or 45 kilometer per hour, then you sit just under your FTP most of the time, and that's then you sit more riding around your sweet spot, and then
I've seen a lot of people make way more gains. I'm not a huge Steven Seiler fan. He obviously talks about the 4x8 minute interval, but like a lot of people now talk FTP, go do 45 minutes at sweet spot. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't you try and do 10-minute intervals at like 102 to 105% FTP and start progressing that way? And when you push people out of the comfort zone a little bit, they start to make these breakthroughs. And I'm like, it's not just longer is good, but you have to still go hard. Like it's interesting. But question on the Moto sessions then, what type of thing would you do with your dad? Get out of town, warm up, get out of town, and then what are you guys doing?
Yeah, most of the time I say I'm coming in 1 hour back, and then I rode just warming up, then a little bit endurance, and then I pick him up, and then I do 1-2 hours behind him. Okay. Sometimes I do sprint training and to try to beat him in the sprint, and stuff like that too. Then sometimes I think it's not a scooter. It's my I need to fight with him, and I make when I train with him, I make a rider from him. And I don't think he have a motor. He have also a bike, and I need to beat him like in a sprint or something.
You're with like GVA or somebody. Some like
and then sometimes it helps me. And I think also I don't need to be have a lot of races, but I can also do good trainings to have a good shape on my first race when I start again. And my last race was Dwars door Vlaanderen. I saw there that the first part I feel I was not in the shape for doing to do Tour of Flanders, and then I say also to the team, maybe it's better that I directly rest a little bit, not completely, but that my body recover, and then start my training like the winter sessions back on, and then working on that and building up to good shape again. And that's what I do now. My last race was 28 March. This is a long way now at this moment, and my first race is next week Saturday, and let's see what it gives. But I'm working, and hopefully I'm ready in the next weeks.
You will be. It produces like anxiety. we had our first race, our team, we're just like Cat Ones here in the US, and it was last weekend. Some people had done some gravel stuff, but not having raced in a year, we were all like, it felt so weird, and like it went well, but when you don't have that litmus test against other people, I mean, at least you have the scooter, and the scooter's faster than somebody on a bike, so if you can beat the scooter, you're in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. But you see, like some years ago, the riders say a lot of times, I need to have races for coming in a good shape. And no, I think when you see Roglic, he stops after Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and I think his first race again is Tour de France. It's also 2 months without any race, and you see that a lot of riders, they go directly in the biggest race, and they don't do. They need to have 3 stage races and some races to have the best shape. And I think like inside, it's also a good, it's good for your mentality, because you can see, know your what or this, and
you're covering the
you
bike.
do,
There you go.
you do it again, and you see, oh, my 2 minutes is in one time is better, and then its mentality is also one part. Okay, the race is also different, because there is the stress from I need to be in positioning there. That's also a feeling what you don't have when you say, okay, I stopped 2 months with racing. But I think when you just you do the training from inside, and you follow that, and your trainer helps you with that, and you say, I want to be there good, I think you will be ready there. And you don't need to have a race before to have the good shape at that race. When you train good, you sleep good, you try to work hard, then it will become, and you don't need to have a race.
If this was a year and a half ago, I would probably disagree, but I think my coach now is Tom Bell from the UK, and he's really big into the physiological side of like, what is every training session doing? What are you changing in your body? What are you trying to adapt to in the training? You don't need the race. The race is when you're going to unleash all of this work that you've methodically done. That wraps up part 1 with Jens. That was awesome. Make sure you come back for part 2. We talk a lot more about training and racing and what is it from America that makes him want to come back here. I don't think you could guess this. Maybe you could. There's another athlete that's obsessed with part of this, but you got to wait till the next episode. Loved it. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Hope you have a great day. See ya.